Breaking news. During the visit of the Spanish Prime Minister to Ukraine, 3 people were killed and 17 were injured due to Russian shelling. U.S. officials remain optimistic about Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russia despite the lack of a major breakthrough in Russian lines. On Friday, in Washington, General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said that the slow pace of Ukraine's advance is part of the nature of war. Milley added that the United States is openly thinking about sending cluster bombs, long-range Army tactical missile system, ATACMS, missiles, and even some of its own F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Everything is on the table, he declared. No decision has been made at this time. On Friday, the United Nations voiced concern that no new ships had been registered since June 26 as part of an agreement ensuring the secure export of grain from Ukraine via the Black Sea. We call on the parties to commit to the continuation and effective implementation of the agreement without further delay, UN spokesman Farhan Haq told reporters. On Friday, President Putin of Russia and Prime Minister Modi of India had a phone conversation. According to the Kremlin, Modi had backed the Russian leadership's decisive actions in dealing with the Wagner mercenary group's mutiny last Saturday. Modi's state visit to the United States last week, during which he declared that his country and the United States were among the closest partners in the world, preceded this phone call. Despite Russia's invasion of Ukraine, India has not yet condemned its ally. On Friday, Russian forces reportedly attacked a school in Serhivka, Donetsk Oblast, killing 2 teachers and injuring 6 more. Ukrainian officials reported on Saturday morning that 3 people had been killed and 17 others injured in the south and east of the country due to Russian shelling. At the same time that Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez is in Kyiv to show support, civilians have been killed. On Friday, Governor Pavlo Kyrylenko reported 3 deaths and 10 injuries in the frontline eastern Donetsk region, where fierce battles are taking place. A large number of Russian troops are attempting to take territory in 3 different areas of Donetsk, according to the Ukrainian General Staff. According to official social media accounts, Russia attempted and failed to advance on Friday in the areas surrounding Bakhmut, Lyman, and Marinka. The southern region of Kherson saw 5 injuries, including 1 child, between Friday and Saturday, as reported by Governor Alexander Prokudin. He said that Russian forces fired 82 rounds of artillery, drones, mortar shells, and rockets at the province, which is split in 2 by the 1,500-kilometer front line and is still trying to recover from the flooding caused by the Kakhovka Dam's collapse in June. A 57-year-old civilian was injured by Russian shelling on Friday in the Kharkiv region's northeast, according to the region's governor, Oleh Syniehubov. According to the regional military administration, a teenager was injured in a strike from the Russian side of the border in the western Sumy region. Despite Ukraine's leaders' complaints about the slow delivery of Western weapons, Sánchez, whose country currently holds the EU presidency, has emphasized the EU's unwavering support as fighting continues and the counter-offensive continues. Sánchez has assured Ukraine of the European Union's backing. Prime Minister of Spain posts on Twitter, "We will keep supporting the Ukrainian people until peace returns to Europe." It has come to light against this backdrop that CIA Director William Burns traveled to Ukraine in June. Burns discussed Ukraine's counteroffensive strategy with President Volodymyr Zelensky and intelligence officials. On Friday, word began to spread about the gatherings. Russian mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin allegedly plotted a coup against Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Russian defense establishment in secret meetings before the attempted coup was foiled. After last week's failed mutiny led by Wagner Group member Yevgeny Prigozhin, Burns reportedly called Russian intelligence chief Sergei Naryshkin this week to reassure the Kremlin that the United States was not involved. U.S. military leaders are not worried by Ukraine's slow counteroffensive against Russian troops. Frustrated Ukrainian officials have been pleading with Washington and the West to supply their country with more cutting-edge weapons in recent days so that Ukrainian troops can make inroads into Russian defensive positions and retake more territory. Even if it takes Ukraine's forces another 6 to 8 weeks to make significant gains, U.S. officials say they are still confident that the country's counteroffensive will succeed. War on paper and real war are different, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley told an audience in Washington on Friday. At the National Press Club, Milley said that the Ukrainian forces are advancing steadily, deliberately, adding that the slow pace doesn't surprise me at all. It's going to be a tough nut to crack. Expect a lengthy process. And no one should be under any illusions about how bloody it will be, he warned. In an interview with the Washington Post on Friday, Ukraine's top general said his troops are low on ammunition and other high-tech weapons. It pisses me off, said Valery Zaluzhny, the head of the Ukrainian armed forces. This is not a performance. This isn't some massively popular show that people around the globe tune in to watch and wager on. Blood is used to fill every meter every day. He criticized Western efforts to push war plans that rely on air superiority, which neither Ukraine nor Russia have been able to establish, and said that such plans are not feasible at all, without full supplies. Ukrainian officials, including Zaluzhny, have repeatedly asked for cluster bombs, long-range missiles, and cutting-edge fighter jets like the F-16 from the United States and its other allies. While Washington has said it will allow allies to supply Ukraine with US-made jets and is training its pilots to fly them, it has been hesitant to actually provide Kyiv with such systems. According to Washington, priority has been given to supplying Ukraine with battlefield-ready systems and weapons. Milley assured Kyiv that its demands were being taken into account. ATACMS, F-16s, or anything else, is in a constant review process, Milley said. The options for these are available. There is currently no decision to be made. Milley stated that the United States has not ruled out supplying cluster munitions to Ukraine despite the concerns of some allies about the nature of the bombs. Several humanitarian organizations are opposed to the weapons because they have a high failure rate and frequently result in civilian casualties when they release their bomblets while still in the air. Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov has stated that 9 settlements in the Donetsk and Zaporizhia oblasts have been successfully liberated by Kyiv's forces, with the main attack still to come. Limits in the north. After the arrival of Russian mercenary leader Prigozhin in Belarus, Zelensky has asked his top military brass to bolster Ukraine's northern military sector. The decision is for Commander-in-Chief Zaluzhny and North Commander, General Serhiy Naev to implement a set of measures to strengthen this direction, Zelensky said on the Telegram messaging app. National security spokesman for the White House, John Kirby, told VOA that the United States will continue to monitor Wagner's activities wherever they are around the world, and we're going to continue to hold them properly accountable for the kinds of egregious violent, deadly, and illegal conduct that they are still capable of conducting. Ukraine has strengthened its border defenses with Belarus, a close ally of Russia, after driving Russian forces out of the country's northern regions last year. Patsy Widakuswara, chief of VOA's White House bureau, provided additional information for this article. The Associated Press, Agence France Presse, and Reuters all contributed to this report.